Yo, what's up, guys? Parker and Zach back here with the Titan Investment Experience.
We got a special episode for you today. We're going over what a call is. You know, a lot of people who start out in options, they don't really know what a call is, what a put is, the definitions. They don't really know what they're doing, so we want to take some of that guesswork out of there for you and just really get down to the basics of what a call is.
Yeah, so let's look. So a call is basically just a contract between a buyer and a seller of that call option, and they exchange this call, which is a security, at a set price. So for options, right, these call options give the holder the right to buy 100 shares of a specific company at a specific price, and that specific price is what we call the strike price. And so up until a specific date, right? So every single call has a strike price, and every single call has an expiration date, and the expiration date is the date that the call has to be exercised by in order to either receive those shares or get the premium and collect that money from the call option itself. So if that underlying asset is below that strike price, you wouldn't be able to exercise the call, but you would be able to still make money off the contract, essentially.
Right. So when you're looking at a call, when you buy a call, you're buying the right to buy that stock, 100 shares of that given stock at a given price by a given date. So you're buying that right. And as the stock moves up, you know, the contract many times will follow, and you can profit off the contract itself, or you can even exercise that contract and get into a stock at a cheaper price point than where it's at currently.
Yeah, so with contracts, we also look at different aspects of contracts. For example, there's in-the-money contracts and out-of-the-money contracts. And basically, depending on where you buy and what strike price you buy at, you're mitigating your risk. So let's take, for example, Apple's stock. If Apple's currently at $382 a share, if I were to buy a $400 call, that would be considered out of the money. And this would be a little bit more risky because typically when calls are out of the money, they move a little bit more extreme and more volatile than the actual stock itself. But the in-the-money calls, so anything at 382 or below for the stock Apple, these calls would move much more predictable with the actual stock value itself. And it's just a safer play. So this is where we see a lot of people make money on options because they play the contract itself. They don't actually use the call options to secure that
100 shares, right?
That 100 shares, yeah. So they won't use it to secure those 100 shares. Instead, they'll just use it to make money off the contract and the value that the contract itself gains as opposed to working with the stock. And it definitely leaves a lot more profit available on the table, but it also, there's a higher chance of risk as well.
Right, because a lot of times when you're looking at these contracts, with the out-of-the-money contracts, some of them are so unrealistic, you know, like you could look at a Roku $400 contract. I saw that before on bar chart, you know, options volume. The volume on that was insane, but Roku was never going to hit that in the 2-week time frame, you know, but the contracts were just flying based off speculation. So people buy it and you flip the contract, but you're never going to buy Roku 100 shares at $400 each. You know, that's just unrealistic. So sometimes, you know, when you're looking at that, you have huge fluctuations in price and it's harder to read and it's more of a gamble when you get to those further out of the money contracts.
Yeah, and a lot of it is about getting used to the stocks that you're trading these option calls on. So let's say, for example, we have Amazon stock. And Amazon calls tend to be extremely expensive. And so if you're running these call options and you're trying to make money off the contracts, you can run calls that are farther out of the money and still make a decent amount instead of being closer to the money. So it's all dependent on the company as well. And it's important to check out the volume and make sure when you look at the volume on these call options that everything's moving good and moving in the correct way.
Right, yeah. So you really want to, when you're looking at that, you want to see the flow of how the stock is moving because the contract is 100% affected by the underlying stock. You know, there's a correlation right there between the stock and the contract. You know, obviously the contract has buyers and sellers and differentiations in bid and asks. So there's movements that's independent from the stock there, but in large part, it follows where the stock is trending.
Yeah. So that's just in essence what a call is, how to exercise a call, what it means when you hear somebody say a call option or they made money in options or off a call. That's essentially what it would mean, and those are just the basics of what it is. So thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll see you guys next time.
Thank you.
Peace.